Talking with the experts.
Your front entrance, like whether it's your front door to your house or your front door to your business, one thing is really important, and especially if it's like an actual business premises, make sure you have great signage. I know this sounds really obvious. Make sure that you have like a doorbell, that the door opens easily so the energy can get in easily. And like if the postman finds it hard to get to you, like you need better directions. You need to make sure that it's easy to find, because if it's not easy to find, it's not going to be for clients, but also not going to be for the energy. And at that front entrance, you want to just make it really welcoming. And the same goes for your front door. Like if there's dead things or flowers that don't look like or something broken, and this might sound really obvious, but I bet you if you're someone listening, walk in, you'll see something at the front door, you're like, oh my God, like that welcome mat looks really scrappy. Like, and it's that first impressions really count. So when it comes to the feng shui, from a business perspective, I'm always about like starting with your front entrance, opening the door easily, making sure what you see first, like lights up your soul, like
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And I would love it if you could go over to the YouTube channel and click on the subscribe and ding the bell so you know when my videos are uploaded. And thank you in advance for that. My guest today is Patricia Lowen, and Patricia is living in one of the Greek islands at the moment. Lucky lady. And we're going to be talking about feng shui as a strategy for business success. And Patricia is a feng shui expert, manifesting magnet. She's an alchemist, she's a healer, and a real-life Irish Celtic shaman. And some people call her the Mary Poppins of prosperity. Woohoo, I'm talking to the right person then. She is the creator of Powerhouse Feng Shui and author of The Happy Home, a guide to creating a happy, healthy, wealthy life. She helps entrepreneurs make their homes and businesses magnetic to money, luck, and blessings. And she shows you what they don't teach you in schools. And they don't teach feng shui at school, so I know that. What lies between the lines, your top secret tool for success. She has helped thousands of people across the globe embrace feng shui and create lasting changes in their businesses. And I will just let her tell you about all the books and where she's been featured, because it's been like they're just heaps of them. And so I'm not going to read them all because it'll just be boring for all of us, but I will let Patricia tell you. Welcome, Patricia, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Okay, so tell me, how did you get into feng shui and all those other things and becoming a shaman? My goodness.
I know. Well, one thing led to the other. And I actually got my first books about feng shui when I was 15 years of age. And when we think about it from feng shui from business perspective, as a 15-year-old, I grew up in an entrepreneurial home. My parents had several different businesses while I was growing up, and around that time, their business was doing really, really well. So when business is doing well, we get to upgrade things. So we upgraded to a beautiful new house. It was an old house that we completely renovated, redecorated. It was like a huge upgrade for our family. And it was beautiful, and everything aesthetically was amazing. But once we moved in, things started to go really, really crazy. Now, I don't know if if it was my 15-year-old self, that kind of was intuitive to know. but to kind of like be called into this, I'm just wanting to ask for feng shui advice or something. But I started feng shuiing my bedroom and getting and interested. And there was something in me. I don't know. It was like this soul thing of just being like, this stuff is really important. And I actually I made my parents hire a consultant to come and help them in their business. Now, for our house, actually, in that house, financially, things were actually really good. So, there's some houses that can be very, very supportive for abundance, and more money kept coming. But there was a lot of sickness and legal disputes and drama. Like, it was just like, what the hell is going on? None of this stuff had happened in our old life, like in our old house. And the only thing that changed was our house. So I think for me, even when I look back at that house, I go, wow, our lives dramatically changed so much between one house and another. And that kind of kept me on the road of just that wisdom. But I did go and study business in university, and went a very practical route. Didn't want to be an entrepreneur, wanted to work 9 to 5 and be normal. That didn't work because I didn't like being told what to do. So by the time I was in my my 20s, I had come back and started working in the family business. And at that stage, I was really, really, really a bit like disillusioned with my life. I'm like back working at home. What am I doing with my life? I was running a business, my father's dream, not mine, and had like this kind of bit of a breakdown. And I ended up quitting everything and moving to India and training in lots of those modalities. So Reiki and crystals and healing and yoga, and becoming a yoga teacher. And all of this just kind of happened very, very just randomly. I was like, I'm going to India to do yoga, and then all of those things like happened. So when I came back to Ireland, I moved to a new town. Moved to Dublin, and I decided that I was ready to call in love, and I got my new apartment, and I said, oh, that feng shui stuff. So I set my apartment up for love. And at that stage, my business was in its total infancy, and it was not in feng shui. So I think that one of the things for me with this journey is that I never set out to teach this, or, it was just always through, people asking me and this journey. Because first I met my husband, Ken, who was also into feng shui. We moved into our house and we feng shuied our home. And when we feng shuied our house and decided to dive deeper into the really much more specific feng shui, which we teach and practice with our clients now, huge things happened in our lives. Like, I had a business where I lived pretty much week to week. I cycled around on my bicycle, did yoga classes, made like €5 or €50 from a session one-to-one with people. Like, it was a very, very small little solo entrepreneur. And he's taking the dog out. So I lived with, my dog was barking in the background there. Okay. Just like someone's growling. So with that business, it was quite small. Like, it was growing, but it was only me and my singing bowls and my yoga and my bicycle. And when I moved in with Ken and we did the feng shui, all of a sudden, it was just like the floodgates opened. We did the feng shui, and I had like a 6-figure windfall very quickly. And it was like, the hell? And everybody around me was like, what has just happened to your life? Some things that had been going wrong or going on with my husband's business, or my partner at the time's business, were really tricky as well. Like, he'd had a very difficult time with the business that he'd been doing. And all of a sudden, 6 months of payments all came in together. And it was like, what just changed? And all we changed was the energy of our house. So that's why I'm such a big, obviously coming from an entrepreneurial home, and like when you're working really hard and you're doing all the work that we're supposed to be doing, and that's what I was doing in my business, but it was just like not as easy as it possibly could be. And when we put in and implemented this feng shui, it was just like, whoa, what just happened? So we were like looking around our lives going like, now I have a car, now I'm able to invest in my business, now it's growing, now I'm going to go online. Like, so it was just like amazing. Like, it paid for our wedding, like stuff, just like we were able to, do the driveway, put floors down, like it was very, very, very different. So that huge dramatic change in my life, then everyone, like my clients, who I'd been working with one-to-one kind of on the inner work, I would go and we working with them and be like, so tell me about your house. Tell me more about what's going on in your house. And they would look at me like, what is she crazy? Like, we do this inner work stuff. So I was like, no. So, and that was where I ended up working and doing the feng shui for them. And that then moved into, and then realizing that they were doing all the stuff, but then if they went back to their house, which was not supportive for money or wasn't supportive for relationships, it was creating a block and it was not allowing them to flourish. So kind of long story, but that's how I got into feng shui.
That was a really good story. I like that. Maybe we could go on a bit longer. I don't know. But I don't know, how did you become a shaman? I mean, that's sort of feng shui and being a shaman are like two different areas of a modality. So, wow.
So the feng shui starts with working with the house itself and the energy of the house. And actually, I would see myself in my work. Feng shui is like acupuncture for your home. And we got married by a shaman couple when we had our one of our ceremonies. And I'd be really connected to that shamanic kind of influence. And when the shaman came to do our land for our wedding, to just check the land, because we were going to get married in our garden, he came to the house and he walked around. And he says, like, you've been the shamans of the house. So feng shui is actually a practice working with the 5 elements. So we're working with fire, water, metal, earth, and wood. So it is actually kind of like Chinese version of shamanism in its own way. And the other type of like the shamanism is out working with the land, working with the same elements which are coming with the land. So it actually kind of ended up being a natural progression. I've always been, at that time in Dublin, I was going to different shamanic events and not really knowing that I was being drawn to it. It was interesting to me. And the feng shui and the shamanism kind of came together then, because as I started to work with the houses, then it's like you can't like ignore the energy of the land, and you can't ignore how the house is built. And when feng shui was originally created, the consultant or the feng shui masters would have looked at form, and they would have looked at the land and how the mountains were and where the water was and all of that, and that would all have impacted where they would have placed a house by location. So it just became this natural progression, and that was kind of the very first thing that when the shaman did come to the house, he was like, well, you've been the shaman on the house, and now like we're just doing a little bit on the land. So that's how it kind of unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of feng shui, and and I did try to practice it, but I didn't understand all about all the there's different things like with the round circle and all the corners of the houses, and
the bagwas,
that's it. Now I didn't understand any of that. I couldn't think, because I'm so directionally challenged that it's not funny. So
and like this is one of the things that there's so many different books out there about feng shui and figuring that stuff out, and that's what we actually do for our clients. I'm like, you don't have to read all the books, you don't figure it out. Like, we'll create a report and tell you why things are not working and how to fix it. I think that's really and there's a real different school. There's different schools of feng shui, and when feng shui came from the east to the west, it actually got there was different forms that were created that were very diluted versions that people have tried. Oh, I'll try that one thing, and it may have given something cool happened, and to be honest, it could have been just a bit of an accident, and sometimes it could be just like a synchronistic thing. But when we work with houses, we work with them like every house is individual, so it's very a unique practice. And rather than being kind of this cookie cutter approach and kind of watered down fast food version, we're very much around like every house is unique. It has its own energy imprint, it has its own personality, and it has its own things going on that can be impacting the people in the house personally. And I think this is the other thing, is personally and also in your business, because nearly everyone is working from home now. So with working from home, it's like having a direct impact on your business, because it can literally, like I said, my business was doing okay, but then once we implemented, it was just like, wow, what's just happened? Like, I've been, featured on so many media places because I really activated my fame and reputation area. And I started to really look at like, what am I doing with that area, making sure it was the right elements in there, balancing it and focusing on my attention on that, so it's like the conscious, we could consciously be like, I'm going to do, for example, fame and reputation area. So for our business, we want to build our credibility, be exposed in the media, be seen, have good reputation as people talking about us. So what do we do for that? We show up every day. We do our stuff online. We may send press releases. We may reach out to the media. We may do podcast interviews, like whatever we do. And we're doing all of that work stuff first. But if the fame and reputation area is not happy and balanced, it's going to make it harder. So this is where, it's like the whole idea is that when we activate and we work with the energies of the home, it actually amplifies it and kind of like unlocks the potential, and allows the work that you've been doing to fully be embodied, and to kind of max it out.
Yeah, I agree about the feelings of the house. When we moved into this house 2 years ago, it was my mum's house, and I came to look after her. But I always thought the house was a bit toxic, even years and years ago, before I came to live here. And I had someone actually come and clear the land in the house for me and put all these little energy discs around. So, and because I was sure that there was ghosts in this house, because I could always smell cigarette smoke. And since the house was cleared, I haven't been able to smell it. Now it's been replaced by terps. So all I smell is terps every day. It's yuck.
Well, you could do another clearing, or you could
I'm going to have to.
Yeah, or even just sit in meditation and ask, like, is there a person here that has that smell? Like, for me with feng shui, I'm not really a ghostbuster. Like, that's definitely, that's
different
kind of beyond the scope. Yeah, the tail kettle fish. But it does interact, because sometimes when we do shift the energy of our house, or someone new moves in, the spirits energies can be a bit like, who are you? I'm not sure about you, and not be that happy. And really one of the things that, and this is kind of more the shamanic part, where we would like just invite them to move on, ask them, is there anything that they need, any support that they want, and then ask them to move on. And when we do that, it can lighten the energy, but it's kind of not necessarily the feng shui thing. But for sure, if you kind of get that sense, like, just sit and meditate and connect with the energy of your home, and connect and see if there's somebody or something, and just ask it, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? Is there something that I need to do to ask you to go? Like, this is my house now, and maybe there's something, and you could just get a sensation of, like, maybe you need to offer some flowers in the garden, or you need to just ask them, is there something you need? And if you don't get a sensation of, just kind of go, what would be a good thing that I could do? And say, well, maybe I'll bring you out and kind of put a little something out in the garden for you, and move you out there, and you can enjoy outside, not inside the house. Thanks.
That's it. But okay, so as a business owner, what can they do? Just like at their entrance to their business, because there just might be one way in and out. There might not be a back entrance. So what can they do at their front entrance to become more welcoming and bring in the good energies?
Yeah, so at your front entrance, like whether it's your front door to your house or your front door to your business, one thing is really important, and especially if it's like an actual business premises, make sure you have great signage. I know this sounds really obvious. Make sure that you have like a doorbell, that the door opens easily so the energy can get in easily. And like, if the postman finds it hard to get to you, like, you need better directions. You need to make sure that it's easy to find, because if it's not easy to find, it's not going to be for clients, but also not going to be for the energy. And at that front entrance, you want to just make it really welcoming. And the same goes for your front door. Like, if there's dead things or flowers that don't look like, or something broken, and this might sound really obvious, but I bet you, if you're someone listening, walk in, you'll see something at the front door, you're like, oh my God, like, that welcome mat looks really scrappy. Like, and it's that first impressions really count. So when it comes to the feng shui, from a business perspective, I'm always about, like, starting at your front entrance, opening the door easily, making sure what you see first, like, lights up your soul, like, makes you feel really good. So if it's your office, like, for example, if you're working from home and it's your office, that you walk in into your office space and you're like, oh my God, I love that piece of art. It makes me feel so good. Or there's some affirmation or something that's like empowers you. And the same goes for if you like, your own office. I like you to kind of think about, imagine that you do have clients coming to your office every day. Imagine that it isn't that we're not in this Zoom world now and people are coming. How would your office look and be different? Because that is what you want to create. You want to create this space that is like a sanctuary, that is really beautiful, but because it's going to make you feel better in your workspace. And that entrance is really important. So it's that kind of like uplifting your spirits, feeling good, and that it aligns with where you're going. Now, I have done countless office audits, like, oh my God, so many business office audits over the years. And one of the things that stands out a lot is that sometimes the office can be, and especially over the last 2 years, where people have, kind of just like, oh, I have to work from home now, so I'm just going to take this tiny corner in the bedroom, in a spare bedroom, and not really thought, well, actually, this could be my long-term situation. Do I have any guests visiting? Probably not. So let's get the bed out. Give me some space. Like, give yourself some space. Get yourself a good desk and a good chair. Like, start to kind of make yourself feel like I am the boss, and not like, oh, this is like an afterthought of a little space that I'm squashed in the corner. And that's like, even like sitting in a space where it feels like you're like trapped in a corner, or kind of that condensed space, really mirrors back into your experience with your business and with your work, that it's kind of like all this kind of like coming at like this kind of sense of too much like compaction, and not this sense of expansion. So I often recommend people to, when they are creating their workspace, to step out of their office and just look at it as if, first of all, you're a client coming to visit. And what would you not want your clients to see? What would you feel like, oh my God, this is not right? Like, and then is like a space for that person to come in and sit down? Do you look like you're the commanding person in the office, like in the workspace? Do you have a nice like wall behind you with a nice strong chair, and you can see where the door is coming in? Like, these are all little subtle things, but I'm just remembering, and even if you're in a shared space, for example, like I'm just thinking of a client in New York, and they had a 1-bedroom apartment, and the when I went to visit, she said, and I've specifically put my husband in this place because like this is good feng shui. And when I walked in, I was like, it's okay, but this could be better. And I said, you know what would be better? Instead of like, he was sitting with the desk up to the wall, and he had a great chair. And I just thought, you know what, if he just switched it like this way, so he could see the door, there was space in front of him, and he had the support of the wall behind them, this could be so much better. And she was like, yeah, okay, let's try it. And he literally switched it around over the weekend. And on the Monday, they had their biggest sales ever, And she was like, all he did was switch his seat. like, and this doesn't mean that they weren't working or anything, but it's like, what are the subtle little tweaks that you can make in your space that's going to put you in more of a command position, and not in a vulnerable position? So for example, like, he wasn't too bad because he could see what was coming at him, but the wall again, the desk against the wall can often be a sense of like pushing things away and not really having that bigger picture. Whereas the other, and if that is the case and you're listening, you're like, oh, this is the only place I can sit when I'm facing a wall. I would say to you, well, can you put like your vision board up there on the wall? Mm-hmm. Can you put a picture that feels really expansive? That's like, oh my God, like it just feels like nature. I'm looking out at a window or something that feels like nature, which would be really good as well. And then the other big thing that I find is kind of be something that can really impact people very quickly and easily is if you sit with your back to the door. So if you walk in and your back, like if you walk in and the back of your chair, you can see the back of your chair first, that's not an optimum position. And this always just brings me back to an example of these clients. I was working on their business, and there was when we went to their office, it was like a husband and wife couple, and they were running this very successful business. And one of the things that I noticed was that she looked worn out. totally exhausted and totally drawn. And he was like, "Hi, how are you?" Da, 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 da. And I was like, are they in the same business? Like, it was like, honestly, and even how they talked, it sounded like they were running two totally different businesses. And then we walked into the office and I was like, here it is. Explains it completely. So he was sitting over in the back corner with a wall behind him and the desk, and he could see everything coming in. And literally, he wasn't kind of getting any of it, because when you open the door straight away, there was her back. There was her back and her chair, her desk, and the wall. And literally the door opened and everything came in, landed on her shoulders, on her desk, and she was in complete overwhelm and completely stressed out. And I said to her, do you feel like that you're the first to get everything? You're completely overwhelmed. You don't see what's coming, blah, 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 blah. She burst out crying and was like, how did you know? And I'm like, because I can see it. And we ended up like shifting her around so she had more space. And obviously the whole thing was, it was coming straight in and landing on her. If stuff should be coming in and landing at the secretary or at the assistant's desk, not on the CEO's shoulders, the very first thing. So you this kind of sense of distance, and especially if you have an office, you know, the very first point of call, this is why you need some distance between the door and the person. You know, if you're going to a big major corporation, the CEO is not sitting at the front desk. Like, he's or she are up in this big corner office, you know, with their big amazing chair on their desk. And you have to think about that for your business. And that really does make a difference, because it's going to shift things. And it did for her. It was just like almost like the weight lifted, and she's like, oh my God, yes, so true. So just these subtle little shifts can make a huge difference.
Yeah, putting crystals, like where my office is in a small bedroom, and I mean, there's no bed in here, it's just an office now. I've got a window to my left, and I've got the door is directly behind. So I've decided that I would sit sort of in the middle, which is fine. But I want to shift it back so my face is towards the window so I can look out. So if I put a crystal over my door, would that be helpful?
I would prefer. So is there much space between you? Like, you know, does the door come straight at you to the side? Like the energy of the door? No.
Yeah, so the door opens out towards me, yeah.
Okay. And is there much space behind you?
Not a lot, no, just a bookshelf.
Okay. Okay, so my best case is that you sit further back. So I would like take the bookcase out and sit further back, so you're not getting the chi from the door coming straight at the side, because it can kind of like knock you sideways and be constant coming at you. That would be my first suggestion. So I would like take out the back and push yourself a bit further back. And then when you push yourself a bit further back, you'll possibly able to see out the window as well, like a bit more out the window. The idea of putting the crystal, not really, it's not going to really change things. What if you wanted to sit with your back to the door, which I don't really recommend, what you would do is you could put a small mirror on your desk, so that you could see the door while you're sitting at your desk, but you still want a really good, strong, like high chair. So you're not getting that onslaught. So it would definitely depend. I would try with the bookcase out first and then push yourself a bit back and see how that feels, because you'll probably get more space in front of you as well.
Yeah, I've got a big, huge counter we used to have in our shop. It's an L-shaped counter. That's what I use as a desktop. So yeah, a bit cheap, but never mind. Yeah, all right, I'll think of that. Yeah, I forgot about the mirrors, so I might do that. Put the mirror up there.
Just a small mirror like that. When you're sitting at the desk, you can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so your book. You've written any more other than the original one?
So the original book, The Happy Home, is going to be updated. We're working on an update of it, because I actually didn't include business and offices in it, so it's going to be included in it, and we're just going to be giving it a bit of a revamp. You know, when the first one goes out, it's like, it was really great to get it done, because people are always asking me like, where do I start? And I'm like, well, start here, because it's really super easy, and it'll just give you a very basic, easy outline to get started. And now I have some other books coming up that I'm working on that are kind of like germinating inside of me at the moment. But they're a little bit different. They'll be more integrating that idea of the shamanism and the feng shui and the journey and all of that, which is going to be fun.
I'd be glad to know when they come out. I might go and get myself one. Now, you haven't got time for a podcast. I'm guessing.
I haven't got time to which.
To run your own podcast. So I'm thinking that you probably don't have time for that. You're too busy.
Oh, I have a podcast.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me
It's
all
called
about
it's called Live Your Dreams. Oh,
It's all right.
Toby wants to have a little chat.
All right, come on, have a chat with us. Come on.
He's gone off. Ken has just taken him up there. Yeah, I actually did create a podcast last year. It's called Live Your Dreams Awake. And it is less around like business and life. It's much more kind of around the personal perspective. And yeah, it's less about kind of the business. It's more about the personal growth. And really, I love inspiring people, like talking to people who are living their dreams awake. And, you know, we all have different dreams, and my vision is to inspire people to like find what their dreams and to embody that. And you know what I've seen is that feng shui is one of the ways that helps people with that, because they get a lot more clarity, and they can get a lot more support in their homes. When they start using their home, it'll start to go, oh, this is what you want, okay, let's keep moving towards that and call that in.
That's it. All right, so where can people find you, Patricia?
So people can find me at patricialohan.com, or and that's where you can find my blog, my book, also loads of YouTube videos. If you like those small tips, I have a YouTube video like every single week released on my podcast and also on YouTube. And yeah, you can come and say hello to me on Instagram if you found this useful. I'd love to, you know, hear. It would be amazing. Thank you.
All right. Any last tips?
Any last tips? I would say to you, the first thing to do today is to just like stand in your home and say, thank you so much for, you know, supporting me, for being this amazing space. And then just give yourself permission to just have a little look around and say, is there anything here right now, this minute, that is not aligned with where I want to go in my life? And just like pick it up and let it go. And then think about what it is you want to welcome in and replace it with that energetically. So like, as you let go of that one thing, just like make space for something new that you want to call in.
Oh, that gives me an excuse to declutter this house.
Yes. Any excuse. I'm glad I gave you an excuse. Write your list of the things you want to welcome in and let go of all different things.
Everything.
Oh. No,
all right,
feels
Patricia, thank you so much. I've so enjoyed speaking with you. And
yeah,
learning.
thanks a million.
All right, you have a great day.
I will. Bye.
Bye.